Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome again to this edition of Edmentum's Friday Fact, Fiction, and Fuzzy. I'm Kevin Gallman with Edmentum, Illinois in the Chicagoland area, and my colleague is Jason Eggert, serving Illinois throughout the rest of the state. Today, we are thrilled to have Dr. Ken Wallace from Maine District 207. Ken, if you follow him on Twitter, is an innovator in digital learning and personal learning, and is part of many organizations. One that we're really excited about is the Illinois Personal Learning Network. If you follow that, we'll kind of give you a couple Twitter handles to follow there, at Ken Wallace 207 and then at IPLN 2020. So take a look at those. But district's done just really innovative things throughout the past decade, and we're just really excited to have you here today. So welcome, Ken.
All right, thanks guys. Thanks for having me.
So here we go. Friday Fact, Fiction, and Fuzzy. First one is a fact. What is something you have learned over this last year or so?
So I'm not sure if it's learned so much as confirmed, but a lot of what we do in District 207 is really predicated on adult learning to really be a driver for student learning. We coach all of our teachers. We're 7 years into it. Every one of our teachers has a personalized coaching plan. One of maybe the only districts in America that has that. And what we were able to witness when the pandemic hit, over a year ago now, is that the investment in that was so well worth it, because our teachers had this culture of learning, this culture of vulnerability, this culture of not being afraid to be wrong or fail or share, hey, what's my issue? We had weekly meetings where people would gather, with a problem of practice, and right in that meeting in real time, in a really organic way, people would have solutions. We're a cooperative learning district. It's a very, it's a high impact strategy. Well, how do you do cooperative learning on a Google Meet or on a Zoom was one of the first questions that sort of came up, because we wanted our teachers to continue the high impact strategies even in a virtual format. It's easy, there's a solve for that, and it turns out it's putting people into breakout rooms, but having the vulnerability and the capacity for people to know that this is a sandbox activity, this education thing, and to really lower the cost of failure, not let trying to be perfect get in the way of getting better. I can see that our folks are able to do things now that they just would have been afraid to do 10 years ago. So it's the humans in the system. That's the fact. And I'm just convinced more than ever that if you invest in growing capacity, we're featured in a new book by Jenny Donahue, John Hattie's colleague, studies in collective efficacy, and it's because of this wall-to-wall work that we've done to really elevate the game of each of our teachers.
So really that foundation of investing in people, you didn't know the pandemic was going to happen, but that teacher flexibility, that teacher capacity, that sharing culture really led to great success during that time. That's a really neat to see that the work done before transferred over.
Ken, how about a fiction, something that maybe you thought was true, but now is untrue?
So the fiction is not so much something I thought was true, but that was sort of a conventional truth that got trotted out there, which was that virtual learning was just bad, just universally bad. And there was a lot of negative commentary about that, which the pandemic really accentuated and amplified. I will start with, there's no question that in-person human-to-human interaction is a core tenet of education. It's a core tenet of just being human. So I'm not going to dismiss that at all. However, that said, one of the things that we've learned is that the virtual format actually worked really well for a lot of our students and a lot of our teachers. And we had already been playing in the virtual sandbox before that, and the blended sandbox before that. So we kind of knew that, but this was actually really confirming. And so this notion that virtual learning is bad is actually not true. Virtual learning is just sort of part of the portfolio or the continuum of sort of environments in which our ecosystem should have opportunities for all learners, and that's students, that's staff, to really enter at their convenience. We actually think post-pandemic that we're going to have a pretty widely expanded virtual footprint. We all of our students have individual career plans. So this maybe having some virtual classes gets them more field time in a business partnership where they can get some authentic career learning. So that's the fiction I would point to.
Always a piece of the puzzle, Ken, maybe a larger piece of the puzzle for some kids rather than others.
Yes, no question, no question.
Ken, last one, a fuzzy, maybe something that made you happy, proud recently, or it could be anytime. Or maybe it could be something that's kind of unclear yet. And obviously there's lots of things that are still unclear.
So I think we all need a little bit of silver lining right now. And so I'm going to go with just what I think is a warm fuzzy. District 207 has 3 large high schools. We're a high school district. 2 of our high schools are non-majority high schools. So we have a lot of need. We have pretty high poverty rates in those buildings, and unfortunately, the pandemic really impacted different communities and different zip codes differently. And I think it just illustrated, some of the problems that already existed before the pandemic. But our community really rallied together, raised over $100,000 to make sure that our families in need had food. We were giving out gift cards to Target, to the grocery stores, making sure that our families had the things that they need to help sustain them through the pandemic and really try to take care of one another. It's an example of, a really challenging time also being an opportunity to bring out the best in people. The pandemic brought out a lot of things. It brought out the worst in some people, but it also brought out the very best in people, the very best in humanity. And we were able to see some examples of that.
And kudos to you and your team. Good on you. Taking care of your community and really looking for opportunities to help one another up, lift one another up during obviously what we all know has been and continues to be really in many cases a very difficult time. So Ken, thank you for sharing that. Always nice to hear warm and fuzzies. He is Dr. Ken Wallace. He is the Superintendent of Schools in Maine District 207. Kevin has his Twitter handle up there on the screen. Please, he's an excellent follow on Twitter. So if you don't follow him, please do so. Also the IPLN, make sure that you follow them as well. Ken, we really appreciate you being with us here today. Best of luck to you guys all moving forward. And we absolutely look forward to staying in touch with you as we go into the future.
All right. Good looking out, guys. And thank you for what you do. And it's good to talk to you today.